Listen up! There is a storm coming! Like nothing you have ever seen!
Well, howdy, folks. How you going? Hope your life is looking good wherever you are today. It might be a bit wet in some places. It might be a bit dry in others, and it's a bit in between in other bits. Wherever you are, I hope it's been a good day. Sorry about not getting to you last night. Been having some very, very, very weird problems with the computer. Pardon me. And if my camera drops out, my microphone is also likely to drop out. So for whatever reason, it's been deselecting the camera and microphone settings and setting them up to something that's not even connected. In some cases, it doesn't change the microphone system at all and says it's still selected, but nothing changes. So I've been on the phone to Vince. We might have to have a deeper look into what's going on here, but that was certainly part of the issues from last night. So my apologies for that. Who was first in? Paul Revere. The English are coming. Well, I don't know if that's the case, but good to have you in early, mate. Mac is in too. Hi, Chris, Peter. Harm. Nice to see you around, mate. I got to give you a bell. I saw a bit from you, Paul. This is a good point. Buy a silver coin with a date on. It's always good for the kids. Yep. Really, really good idea. And did it for the 21st. Yeah, Luna or the Kookaburras. Yep. Kookaburras are a beautiful coin too. We'll get into some of those Luna coins a little later on because I've put together the interview that I cut with Michael the other day. And I've got to tell you, Ainslie Bullion have some of the most spectacular coins I've ever seen. But I'm only at the beginner's end. There are much more spectacular today. And thanks to Peter, who's been sharing a few pictures with me today of some of the other coins that are available, particularly if you're of a mind to be a collector. They are magnificent coins. But there is many interesting things to be learned about holding a $3,000 silver coin that has a value ostensibly to the government of $100 because that's what they value them at. It's currency. So you can figure that one out for yourself. I won't get into it too deeply right at this juncture. G'day, Baz. Who else? Michelle. Hello, darling. Hope to be coming up toward you in the not too distant future. Not going to go up much higher than you, I can say, but we'll maybe get up towards you. Maria. Hello. Hello, Shell Bell. Zippy's in the house. Oh, gee, we've got a few gone up there. G'day, Vince. Yeah, as Vince has said, having a few technical issues. Oops, wrong one. Having a few technical issues. So if I drop out, I drop out. What I've been a bit sneaky odds of, I've actually changed my connection. The trouble I was having was coming through Starlink, interestingly. Now I'm not on Starlink. So very, very weird. Very, very weird happenings on the computer for the last few hours. Well, last day and a bit, if I'm honest. Anyway, let's get into talking about a few interesting things. Did I show you that list the other night? I can't remember if I talked about it or not. So I will put it up if the thing ever comes to life. There you go. You might have to freeze frame it and walk up to it with a magnifying glass and have a bit of a look. But that is purported to be the list of targets for the rods of God around the world. You will notice going down the list, it's somewhere, I think. Let me get in a bit closer and try and see myself. Oh, no, I can't. I haven't got my magnifying glasses on. The Opera House is listed on there. I want to say it's in the 30s, but I could be wrong. Might be up a bit higher. That's the only thing on Australian soil that is listed for a rod of God. Hoover Dam is on there. London Bank 1 and 2. The Northern Castle refers to something that we will talk about on another occasion. But that is a fairly deep and evil sort of a little place. And at any rate, if you haven't figured out what the rod of God is, watch the show from the other night, because I think I explained them without actually showing you the target list, which is a bit stupid of me. I do apologize. Speaking of stupid, There's not enough communication from authorities on the latest wave. The association would like to see the chief health officer addressing the community regularly and guiding them on how we can avoid another disastrous Christmas. That's some Queensland doctor calling for masks to come back out in public. Seriously, folks. Seriously. I'm just glad this one must be hooked up somewhere in the well, I guess in government circles, or just has come out of university and is fully brainwashed. I don't know. Big news, I suppose, coming out of today about doctors is that it is projected within the next 5 years that better than a third of them will retire. I'm going to say that better than 2/3 of them will be retired or dead. And that could be because of taking their own jab or being held accountable for what they've actually done. So the big concern for me isn't the fact that we're going to lose so many doctors. It's what we're replacing them with, because what's being trained in our medical institutions around the country at the moment is not what you'd call bloody encouraging, I wouldn't have thought. Not in any meaningful way. It's not the kind of thing that I would have hoped. Anyway, it's going to happen. Masks. You think they're going to make us put them on again? Well, why don't we look at the damage they did last time round? These are the kind of images that we didn't see enough of, clearly, because the environmentalists should be kicking up their, well, whatever it is, their green heels. Oh, wait, that's right. Greens in the ACT. So the ACT has its own state or territory council, if you like. 2 of the members of that council have been stood down, I think indefinitely in both cases, under charges of sexual misconduct. One of those charges is pedophile related. There is a fairly young guy, admittedly, on the council, and he admits that he's had a relationship with a young man, but that young man was, over the age of consent. There is some conjecture whether or not that is the case. And even still, there is a bit of an age gap. Not that that's an issue, I suppose. Anyway, interesting that 2 of them have been stood down in the ACT territory government, and they've been named publicly immediately. What hasn't been called out and named publicly are apparently the 7 politicians that have been investigated for rape and other things over the last 18 months in our parliament. That's been kept very quiet for some reason. Well, we know the reasons. I guess if they get to go to a court of some kind at some stage and were to be found guilty, or maybe they have already been found guilty, then they'll just be added to that list that we're not allowed to get a look at. The list that some politicians claim, well, every politician claims doesn't exist, unless you're one Bill Heffernan. And he knows the list exists because he saw it. Unfortunately, Bill is still with us, but is of an age where he doesn't want to be involved. He doesn't want to come out and fight this battle. And he certainly isn't sharing any information about names on the list. So that's, I guess, a little bit unfortunate. Just back to the doctors and the masks and the mask wearing thing, there might be an incentive, for the doctors to be pushing for masks, because eventually there's probably going to be jabs again. This is just a refresher. That's the fee list that they were going to be paid by, the government for administering the shot. So just remember, they've made a lot of money already. I don't know how many of them have gone off and bought mask franchises or bought in millions of masks ready for the next whatever, but there is a chance. And if it's going to happen in Queensland, then my good mate Leonard has a fair bit to say about it. You might have to walk up close to your TV and read that, and I won't read it out because of the time of day it is. There might be kids listening, but my good friend Leonard speaks very eloquently and very directly to Plucker here. And I am fairly confident that he will back up every word of that. And he is, trust me, very capable of backing up every word of that. I'd say very, very capable. There's been a lot of interesting things happening in America at the moment. Look, I'm not really following the Trump trial. It's all just a show. I really couldn't care less. I have seen a few other bits and pieces, heard a couple of bits of intel out there. The market is being propped up by fake money. So how long can those with the fake money keep propping it up? That is probably the $64,000 question. I really can't tell you. I have a gut feel for it, but my gut feel's no better than anybody else's, and I wouldn't go betting the house on it. But I would say sometime in the next couple of weeks, I think we're going to start to see things in the market start to shake on a variety of levels. You may or may not be aware that a lot of the disputed states in the 2020 election have had state Supreme Court trials, and some of those trials on appeal are now being reversed. The decisions are being reversed. Maricopa County being one. There are a couple in Georgia. There's, I want to say, Iowa somewhere. And Wichita. There's a few of them coming out and admitting that there were huge problems with the votes that were counted and the way that they were counted and the technology that was counting them. So they're reopening a great many of those, certainly enough in the swing states to make a big difference. Not that it matters. I mean, we're going to go through this, I think, until 2024's election anyway, just in a different way, is my opinion. But we'll talk about that, another day. They are making some rather interesting discoveries in Washington, D.C. A commercial sex ring involving D.C. politicians, military officers, farmer execs, scientists, and other wealthy clientele. That's been discovered just as Albo arrives back in the US. I've got to agree with Malcolm on this one. Albo's back on the plane, back to do a bit of a report to his mate, Joe. Well, we think it's Joe. It's really only a puppet. We know that. The real president, the secret president, is Obama. And that has always been the way for the entirety of Joe's presidency. So as Malcolm has adeptly pointed out here, he's gone over to get his directions from Joe or Obama. He's gone to China. He's delivered that, had a bit of a look around, heard what Xi Jinping has to say, comes back to the Cook Islands, buries a coconut or whatever he did there, and then is back on a plane to the US today. I mean, how long's he spent in the country in the last 3 weeks? And we do have one or two issues, as Malcolm has pointed out, that we think he could probably help with if he would hang. Well, no, let's be honest. Albanese's not going to help with any problems. Albanese is the friggin' problem. So, don't understand that at all. All right, let's get on to the portion of the evening where we're going to see a few of the shiny things. Now, Michael is taking over as CEO of Ainslie Bullion at the end of this year or in January next year. And I took the opportunity while I was in Melbourne to go into the Ainslie Bullion offices there. Absolutely stunning office, can I tell you? It's on the 14th floor of 357 Collins Street in the city. If you're coming up from Flinders Street, come up Elizabeth Street, turn left, and 25, 30 metres up the road, that's where you'll find it in the old Commonwealth Bank building. But absolutely stunning views from the boardroom back up Collins Street. And interesting to note, from their boardroom, I wasn't really admiring the view so much. I was looking at the other spires that I could see. I have been taking, I've been a bit possessed recently. I've been taking photos of church spires and other spires that I see driving around. I don't really know why. But in Melbourne, I got a really good reason. I walked out of Flinders Street Station and I looked up at the cathedral across the road, and the spires on that looked like at some kind of an electrical device. I shit you not. And that made me look further around Melbourne and the other spires and domes, and there are a lot of them around Melbourne. So I've had a bit of a look from the boardroom window up Collins Street, and sure enough, there were 3 more that I spotted that are so electrical looking. I know that sounds stupid, but yeah, so I've taken some photos of those. Maybe we'll do a show on that one day. I'll get somebody who knows a bit more about electrics than me, though, to talk about it. Anyway, had a great chat with Michael, and as we were discussing, I think on the last show that I did, the question came up in my head, at least, if silver is to go up dramatically, and let's say it goes up to 40 grand per ounce, then if you're holding it and you want to sell it, that means you've got to get into someone like Ainslie's and get to the head of the queue and sell it. Now, as with everything, when you start selling something and a lot of it, the price drops, and gold and silver is measured in blocks of 15 seconds. So that's always been the case. The price is updated every 15 seconds. So it's very reactive to what's happening in the market at the time. So somebody's just said I'm getting more and more spiritual. Thank you, Barbara. Yes, that could well be the case. I find myself pulling up at churches and taking photos. Yeah, quite weird. Anyway, started by asking Michael, yeah, is it faster if you've got it in your hand to be lined up out the front waiting to sell it, or if you have it vaulted? Would it be faster if you've got your money vaulted? Because all you've got to do essentially is pick up the phone and say, hey, listen, I want to sell this.
Is the short answer, but there's still going to be a line of actions to be completed.
Right.
So theoretically, if there's 15 people in the line and there's 15 people on the phone, well, the 15th phone call's still going to have to wait for the first one, i.e. the same as the people in line.
Yes.
So yes, the 15 people in the vault are all waiting online or waiting on the phone to sell their product. There's still theoretically a line of, we do everything by person. We're all people that administer the tasks. So there's still an element of time required to get those jobs done.
It's not a long process.
It's not as long as standing in line.
No.
Standing in line is a lot longer because there's a lot more administration to be taken care of coming into store than there is once that's already done and you're just sending an action to us to get done.
So ultimately, vaulting has all that administration done on it at the point where it goes in.
Pre-prepared.
Yeah.
And furthermore, the only thing I'd say that too, Carl, is that we have historical evidence of when these things occur in the past. Now, given they haven't exploded to the numbers that some are thinking they may go to, but I would argue from the 70s to now is, when you're talking a double figure number to a 1,000-figure number, that's quite an increase.
Absolutely.
And throughout that time, if you look at the chart, there's been peaks and there's been troughs. Not everyone sells at the same time.
No.
So hypothetically, we're saying that, if the market goes to X, people are going to want to sell, but that's not how emotional people operate.
Right.
Emotional people operate on, could it go higher?
True, yeah.
Or I don't want to sell, actually, because if it's at this point now, it could go even higher in the future, and I don't need to sell. So I'm holding on to this, which, I'm in a position where I don't want to sell my holdings.
No.
My holdings aren't for sale. They're for future benefits to children and grandchildren that are further down the line.
Yeah.
So I think one thing's easy to cast the net over and say everyone's going to want to sell when it hits a certain point. But history tells us and has shown us in evidence in our business that not everyone sells at the same time, as well as exact opposite on the other side. Not everyone buys at the same time.
The market,
you tend to get a bit of an even keel more than you do. But people think, oh God, when this happens, I'm going to be.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
It does happen somewhat, but it's not as bad as people think.
And from my perspective, a lot of the people that I talk to with Voice of Freedom, I think have got partially this in mind. They never thought they'd be buying gold and silver in their life. They've now found out how easy it is. I've found 2 or 3 different sorts of person. I found the sort of person, like you said, who buys it for an investment for the long term, for the family. I've found another person who buys it simply because they like the look of the coin at the time and for no real appreciative value in the silver or the gold, or well, I suppose there is in the gold. But then that ties in with the third kind of person who falls in love with the shiny stuff. Just that, the glint of silver and gold, and there are those people who are just hooked on that right from the word go. Now, those folks are not likely to want to go selling. But there are folks that I've met at different My Place events and around the place who say, well, I'm only in it so that I can get money and sell it at the end. Well, that's how a free market works. You've got to be prepared, though. Don't have huge expectations, and be prepared there will be a wait. Yeah,
and it's also in all stocks, shares, any investment, very few actually get to sell at the top.
Yeah.
A lot of people sell on the way to the top, and a lot of people sell on the way from the top.
Yeah.
So very few pick the top, and there's some great sayings in the investment world around, if you wait for the top, then you'll be waiting forever.
Yeah.
And if you try and buy at the bottom, you'll be waiting forever.
Yeah.
So, do your research, pick wherever you enter is where you enter, and wherever you think you are happy exiting, exit. Because if you do end up doing what we spoke about and try and picking that top, it's a very hard thing to do. So
I simply use my own personal example. The first silver coin I purchased, I think was $28. And now if you were to buy the same coin, which I think was a Skippy, is like $38 or $40. So that's in a little over 12 months, or not even 12 months. And that's much better than you're going to get in your super by way of return. I was trying to explain this to some friends the other day. Their big concern was, where do we hide it? What do we do with it? Well, I can give you 1,000 ideas and places to go and hide your gold or your silver, but then you're going to sweat at night knowing that I've told you where you're hiding your gold and silver.
It came up last night. We had quite a conversation with the group that we were presenting with last night around storage and about the vaults being stored on their behalf, storing their own down there, or going into a storage system, wherever it is, on the farm, in their house, in the walls, whatever they want to do with it. Everyone's different. Everyone's personality is different. Everyone's comfortability is different with regards to what they're comfortable. Some people don't even like walking with an ounce on the street.
Yeah.
Yet people walk past you all the time and you don't look at them thinking they're carrying gold. Is what I say all the time, which we don't. We don't analyse everyone on the street. So it's to think that you're unsafe carrying an ounce of gold down the road. I believe most people are.
Yeah.
However, from a storage point of view, it's just up to the personality, and there is no difference. You've just got to consider, if you don't store it somewhere locally to where you need to sell it, you've got to get that product out of the storage that it's in and get it to the marketplace where you want to sell it to realise the gain or the value at that point in time.
Do you think there will be a point in our future, near or far, where you will see people trading their own silver over the counter?
Absolutely. Yeah. Categorically, it's happening. It's happening now. We've got people walking in here that are doing it in their communities. They've realised that said coin is worth. They put a value on it. So, and it's just north of what it's worth if you buy it here. But in that community, it's worth X. They use it then to trade in that community now.
Yeah.
So yes, it is happening, and there's no reason why it shouldn't. It's legal tender. It's there. It can be done that way. I think that the harder that that it becomes with regards to the way that the system is around us now, with regards to the way that everything's done via digital. When digital falls over, like we've seen with Optus just recently and with others in the past, that just I think awakens people to how do we operate if we don't have that digital system around us?
Yeah.
And the costs of doing digital as well. People aren't awake to the fact that every time you put your credit card over, you're having a 1-point-something% to 2-point-something% charge on top all the time.
Yeah.
Well, you don't get that with cash.
No, not at all.
So,
which brings me to the Ainslie bullion card. Now, when I last saw you up in Echuca, the card was in operation, but you were still setting a few things up, I believe.
So it's definitely high on our list. It's the developers. The reason we haven't done it to date is we've got a long list of development things that we've got to do, but now we've pushed that right to the front, because that Ainslie saver, the fact that people will be able to then put in, and I think this is what you're referring to, but the fact that they will be able to regularly just make investments into gold and silver, and it to be direct debited. They then start accumulating their stash of gold, silver, whatever it is, it's going to become closer and closer. So I couldn't put a date on it because we keep saying 3 months, and that's been some
6 months ago.
yeah, a lot, maybe longer.
Yeah.
But it's getting closer.
Yeah.
So it's
But you've got to do it right, because
absolutely got to do it right.
You know, there's a lot of talk about people's banks, community banks, being started up by their communities. Obviously, if you're going to do something like that, it has to be backed with gold and silver. Is that an area that Ainslie have looked into?
Look, we've absolutely had conversations about, there's a possibility in the future that we could be doing things like that. We are not focused on that right at this point in time. Our business is very much the business with regards to the bullion, the crypto, the vaulting services that we offer. We have a great product in that GSS, so the gold, silver standard tokens that we offer as well, which are second to none in my opinion in the marketplace. Having conversations again with people last night that have done their homework on the product, and they've realised the transparency that we offer that product versus all the competition in the marketplace. It doesn't take too much time to scratch the surface to realise, wow, that actually is a one-to-one backed. It's proper token, which is the way it's designed for. So, that's our core business at the moment. There's opportunities for us abound outside of that, but we're very much at the moment focused on getting what we've got.
And you've got to work within the constraints, I guess, of what is currently existing.
Yep.
The financial system that's currently existing.
And even that point, we're always going to have to operate in that.
Yeah.
So whether you've got gold and silver as assets out into the side, you're always going to have to operate in the system, whatever the system will be, because there's no way, I don't think you'll be able to operate if you just have all this gold and silver and think you can live on your own sitting over here. It probably just won't work. So you're going to have both. And that's where I think then having the benefit of your hard assets sitting on the side, and then knowing that backs the lifestyle that you have on the other side is what I would say the way forward should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Ainslie going forward, you're stepping into the CEO role in January. So how do you, the family's been in the business for 50 years, or the families have been in the business for 50 years. I gather there is a wealth of information available to you privately from behind, from those who've gone before. But how are you going to stamp your mark on Ainslie going forward?
That's a question without notice, wasn't it?
It was, sorry about that. I can cut this out.
No, spot on. Really good question. Look, I've got really big shoes to fill. I'm by no means. I definitely know the people that have done it before me, the people that are doing it now, and Paul and Steph. Brian and Jeff and Robert before that. They've obviously taken the business from one shape to the next shape, and then into the shape that it is now.
But you could be standing at the cusp of a whole new financial system.
Spot on. Yeah. So, look, I don't know how to answer that specifically. I think that the business has definitely changed in the last few years since I've been involved, and we've obviously expanded here in Melbourne, and that's been successful. And that was our first, I suppose, hurrah outside Queensland and outside our home base of Brisbane. What are we going to do moving forward with the other cities and the other states? I suppose you'll just have to wait and see what the plans are in that space.
And the market is a dynamic thing. The way people are buying and selling, the way people are using gold and silver is changing.
You mentioned it before. The financial system is what's changing and coming to a head. So I think that the next 5 to 10, 15 years is going to be a pretty exciting time to be alive from a financial point of view. If you're just out there operating in a space where you don't really care about that, then it's probably not going to be that exciting, because you'll just morph and change with the times. But those of us that have the ability to influence from where we are, I think it's going to be a pretty exciting time. So
you and I have discussed the glint that certain people get in their eye if you put an ounce of the shiny stuff in their hand. Some are obsessed by it straight away, and others, I assume, like you and me, are nonplussed by it. We don't tend to get too...
The best employees.
The best employees. Going forward, how... Well, No, let's look at this historical end of Ainslie to begin with. People have always assumed gold and silver to be for the high end of the market, if you like, the wealthy to play around in. I think we've been able to show in the last 12 months that anybody can get into the gold and silver market for as little as $23 with an Ainslie half-ounce Tree of Life, and the benefits that it can have. Given the nature of the business, you're obviously, with 50 years in it, been focused on your community, focused on people. So is that the driving goal behind Ainslie's business plan? Is it helping people, securing wealth? Is it?
I think it's a very good start, because if we look at one thing that all of us get the kicks out of, we get a lot of kicks out of people coming in here and seeing that they can take control of something that they've always been told, leave it to me, I will take care of that, I will do it for you. Those same people are, that's how they obviously then they're clipping the ticket and earning $1 and living their lifestyle. When people come in here and understand that they can take control of it, and that they actually
and that it's not that intimidating, it's not that hard.
It's not that hard. And it actually is very easy when people come in, and we have so many customers leaving our 2 offices here in Queensland where they just literally walk out and they just say, wow, that was so easy.
Yeah.
I did not expect it to be that easy.
Yeah, that's one of the big comments that I get coming back.
And it's one of the kicks that we get out, because we're helping people. So we're no different to a chiropractor or a doctor or whatever that assists someone with an ailment. We're here opening the doors. We're literally a vehicle for people to enter this space. When people enter this space, they realise how simple it is and they walk out. It is a pleasing thing.
Yeah.
Very pleasing. I've got a nephew, a nephew of mine that's just finished school, just finished his last exam last week. He bought his first kilo of silver about a year ago with just all of his savings from his birthdays and Christmases and a bit of working and that. And he put his money aside and he bought $996 he paid for a kilo of silver. And he just rang me the other day because he's after his second one. And he wanted to know, yes, because his first one was $996 and it went up to $1,230 or something like that. He was absolutely outstanding. That was a great increase. But Michael, should I buy another one? I said, absolutely, just continue to buy. Yeah. Because even though it's gone up on your last one, you don't know that it's going to go back down. It might go back down, but if you're going to consistently keep doing that, and that's a long way of answering the question as well, is he's 17. Yeah. And he's just started his journey, just going to continue to chip away and put a little bit aside.
I ran into a fella the other day who's not quite 40, and he was telling me that he started his silver collection at 19 with 1 silver coin. He's now got over 600 ounces, and that's just buying a bit when he can.
Yep.
So, that's the genuine way to take control of your own financial future.
Yeah, it is. And you'll have all your namesayers, you'll have all your people that will say, no, that money should have been here and should have been doing that and that sort of stuff. But it's very much a personal thing.
Well,
if you want to take control
compare it to your super. Did your super go up 100% in the last 12 months?
Yeah, the last 3 years, in particular for super, I think those that have invested in these assets have done very, very well. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. It's written all over the information. So
beautiful. Yeah. Can we see some of these assets? Because I've been telling people that there is a new lunar dragon coin out. I love dragons, always been.
And we've got a different lunar, the silver this year. It's very, very different looking to the gold.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
okay.
So they're not the same design. So.
Ainslie, of course, still have the half-ounce Tree of Life, the only half-ounce round in the country. I'm led to believe that's been produced in the country. And I don't know, what else can we see?
We can look at the 1 ounce. So we've imitated. So the half ounce was a real test to see how that was received. It went very, very well. So we've now released its big brother, which is the 1 ounce.
Oh, great!
Exactly same looking coin, except I'd actually argue it looks a bit better because the tree's bigger, the words are bigger, everything's bigger on the coin. Yeah, and it just really is. It's strikingly, and it's actually now the cheapest 1 ounce piece of round silver that you can buy on the marketplace.
Wonderful.
Being made here on the East Coast delivers us the ability to be able to deliver those cheaper costs to the customer.
All right, Michael, the shiny part of the show. I really like this bit. Now, Gold and silver we talk about a lot, but gold and silver aren't the only precious metals. You haven't gone into the copper business, but you have been in the platinum business for a while. Now, I've always assumed platinum to be out of my reach. I thought it was at a greater cost than gold, which is already out of my reach. So what's the big deal about platinum? Well, I've learned there is quite a big deal about platinum. Can you explain?
Yeah, I mean, platinum is probably a little the poor cousin, if that's the right term to use, from a popularity contest. I hold up here the platinum koala, newly released coin from the Perth Mint. So the koala, they launch platinum every year in the Roo.
Yeah.
But they've also done this special edition this year, which is the 99.95 1 ounce koala. Great. I mean, platinum is such a different product. It's a hard metal.
Yeah.
It's a really hard metal, one, to source, so we can't get a lot of it around the world. The second thing is to work. So, the fact that they've been able to do this into a coin with the detail of it is something else. We've got platinum bars ourselves that we range in the Ainslie. There are other platinum coins, as I said, that you can buy. Price-wise, it sort of sits in between silver and gold at the moment.
Yeah.
The platinum itself used to be so much higher than gold in the past.
Yeah, and that's the way I remember it. I remember it being, the peak metal, if you like, as a kid. I remember it being, bigger than gold.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's probably from a time point of view, you wouldn't say what the prices are now, but it is relatively a good value buy at the moment with where platinum is priced. And then you've got, you move into the shiny one, which is the gold. That's the latest release, which is the gold dragon, 1 ounce gold coin. And that coin there has just been released, limited mintage, and is available now, but typically they'll sell out very, very quickly. They'll be gone in a matter of weeks.
So these are the coins that if you have a bit of a collector mindset, are probably the ones to look at.
Yeah, spot on. Dragon's part of the Lunar series as well.
Yeah, so now the Lunar series has a really good name I've been educated about. If something every year they bring out something new, and like you say, it's a limited release, so they're not going to print up any more of them. And this obviously adds to their value down the track, I suppose.
Yeah, spot on. And those that collect them, so we have a lot of people that come in here and line up for the Lunar series every single year, and they've been doing this for a long, long time. So you can imagine they would have sets of Lunars. And I'm sure there are other people out there that aspire to get those sets and would pay above the odds to get those sets from them. So there is a value in that. Dragon obviously being 2024, Rabbit is 2023. I'll add that I'm a dragon, so I'm pretty excited about this dragon. But know the difference between, I hold them both up here, the gold and the silver.
Yep.
Different dragons on them this year.
Yeah.
So different design.
Yeah.
And this is the silver.
And the silver dragon is just as spectacular as the gold.
You saw the difference in the size too, the amount of silver that you get for 1 ounce versus that small bit of gold. But again, silver's just as popular and it will sell out as well. The 1 ounce silver, the 1 ounce platinum and the 1 ounce gold dragons go very, very quickly. The fractional coins, so your 1/10, 1/20, 1/4, 1/2, they tend to last a lot longer through the year and they don't have, mintages on them. So they'll just keep producing those until they run out. So, they are available, but these are the most popular 1 ounce.
Another question without notice. A lot of people invested in coins that came out of America a couple of years ago, coins and notes. A lot of them had Trump written on them. Some of those notes are gold notes, for the want of a better term. Now, these are collector notes. Am I right in saying that, or do they have an intrinsic value?
So if you were talking to the right parties, then yes would be the answer to that. What makes something obviously valuable is that there is a number of people that want it and are willing to part with their money to buy that particular product.
Sure.
We were talking about this last night as well at the event, and what makes it valuable? It makes it valuable because there's enough people around the world.
Yeah.
So, and that's what happens with these coins, these notes, anything that's released in the world that enough people want, and if it's a limited number of them, it will force the price up.
Right.
So, yeah, coins are no different.
Any comment as to how much gold they have in them, or is there a,
No, we don't stock those products. We typically stick with the lines that we've stuck with for a long time. It's probably a little bit of the 80-20 rule there as well. So those that are familiar with that 80-20 rule is, that we could stock so many more products, but still the main sales and the main lot of our revenue comes from, the 20% or so of the lines that we stock.
Yep.
So we get 80% or more of the value from 20% of the lines. So you can stock more lines, your costs continue to go up, you don't actually get any more revenue. So, we typically think we're on a bit of a sweet spot. We sometimes trial different things. We've brought our own product in this year, being this half ounce, but now I'm just bringing up the 1 ounce.
Tree of Life coin.
Yeah.
Well, round, I can't say coin.
So no, it's not a coin, and I'll point that out to you too, Carl, which is well picked up, because that's the obverse of the coin versus obverse of this round versus this coin, which has her head on the back of it.
Yeah.
So because they've put that on there, it's legal tender. That is obviously accepted in the banks. And this one here, still being 1 ounce. So the pure silver value between these two is exactly the same.
Yep.
Exactly the same. But this one obviously is what they class a round. So we technically can't call it a coin.
Yeah.
And that's why you'll see it always advertised as a round. The reason that I raised that up and the reason we're talking about that is because there is obviously, that 80-20 rule. We thought, why not? Let's see if we can, be able to locally produce a coin. So we've made that here locally in Australia on the East Coast. The costs are a lot less, obviously, to produce that. So we pass those costs on. And that's why you can now buy that round cheaper than any other, piece of silver on the market.
And you can do that online at ainsliebullion.com.au.
That's the website.
Yeah.
Very simple. Buy yourself one. Buy someone else one.
It's the place to start, isn't it?
Yeah.
And as we discussed earlier, once you've started, it's very easy, particularly if you get that silver or gold glint in your eye, to save up that $40 and buy another one, or $20 for another one, a half ounce coin. For somebody who's just starting out, like me, who doesn't have a silver stash as such, who doesn't have a gold stash at all, who doesn't have platinum, can barely spell the word, do you advise people to buy coins, to buy small bars like the one you're holding there, the 1 ounce thing, or I know that there are 5, 10 ounce, 1 kilo bars and up to 10 or 15 kilo bars I think you can get.
Absolutely. I mean, and you can get the big door stoppers, as we call them. Get someone to crochet some knitting and put it on the top and stick it in the door, and no one will know what it is.
Yeah.
The big bars. One we don't advise, one we can't advise. So none of this is financial advice.
Yep.
This is purely just commentary on the bullion market and these products. Everyone's different. And I know you hear that a lot, and I think a lot of people say, they keep saying it, but it is true, because we get a lot of customers that come in, and lots of customers walk in and say, all right, what should I do? How we end up going from here to here with being able to work that decision out for them is literally just ask them what their wants are, what their needs are.
Mm-hmm.
What do they want this product to do for them in the future? What do they need now? So some people buy the smaller ones because they want that denomination. They want the liquidity of being able to sell a smaller amount at a time in the future. Whereas others are just saying, no, it's purely an investment for a period of time. Then the whole lot is going to get sold at a set time in the future. In that case, buy yourself the bigger bars because you save. I liken it to if you buy a bag of chips in the supermarket, or anything in bulk, you'll always pay a lot less per 100 grams for a bulk product than you will for a smaller product. It's exactly the same with precious metals. Because it costs a very similar amount to pour a large bar to pour the small bar, to go through the stamping, the moulding, all of that sort of stuff is exactly the same. So the costs get distributed a lot less over a bigger bar than they do smaller. So what are your needs? What do you want the product to do for you? And ultimately, we spoke about it just before, a lot of people, that's what they can afford, so
Yeah.
that's what they buy.
Yeah.
You know, and
ultimately, it doesn't really matter the artistry of it, you know, the aesthetics. It doesn't really matter. It comes down to the weight and the purity, doesn't it?
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. And knowing that the smaller bars, in particular the silver. So, you know, that bar, you know, the silver dragon. I mean, the tradability that this affords.
Yeah.
Because you're only paying what we spoke about, you know, 40, 45, whatever the dollars are at the time,
Yeah.
changes all the time. The fact that you might be able to trade that is another flexibility that offers over a bigger bar. Because you could walk in and say, all right, well, you know, I want some groceries, some milk, pay the local farmer, you know, for a leg of a lamb or whatever.
Yeah.
You won't be able to do that with a kilo
No.
of silver or even a bigger piece of gold.
Yeah.
So the tradability that you have with the smaller items is a very big benefit.
What, in closing, would be your advice to anybody who's hearing about Ainslie bullion for the first time and hearing about gold and silver trading?
Look, I think I think start the journey. I think,
Dip your toe in.
Dip your toe in. You know, find out for yourself rather than get told by others. So, you know, ask the questions, look at the reports, look at what it's done in the past, look at where it's heading, listen to some, you know, people that are in the know about where it's going, and don't take no for an answer. Like,
Yep.
there are a lot of accountants, there are a lot of financial planners out there that are saying no to it. I think mostly from in fear of not understanding it more than anything else.
And it cuts them out of their fees.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
there's
a payment they're not going to get.
Yeah, there's an element of that with
Yeah.
the physical. Absolutely, there's
Yeah.
an element of that with the physical. But there are a lot out there that absolutely support it, and they support that balanced approach. You know, one of our slogans is balance your wealth in an unbalanced world. And so we're very big proponents on, you know, we're a vehicle, as I said earlier in the piece, a vehicle that people can come and balance their wealth in an unbalanced world.
Yeah,
So
brilliant. Michael, thanks for having me in today. Thank you for showing me through. Your offices here in Collins Street, Melbourne, are absolutely magnificent. 357 Collins Street. It's simple to find. Get on the train, walk up from Flinders Street. Takes 10 minutes. It's absolutely easy. And you've got wonderful staff right from the word go.
especially when we put on a day like today for you as well.
Yeah. It went well. It started out pouring rain, but anyway, it is Melbourne.
That's Melbourne.
So thanks for having me, mate. I really appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you further on the road, because you will be travelling. There will be more road shows, for the want of a better term. You've already done a couple through Victoria. I believe there are plans, or in fact Queensland, there's been some shows in Queensland already. I've actually got a list of people around regional Victoria who want you to come and do shows there. So there is a wider appetite to learn a lot more about what we can do with silver and gold and self-managed super funds, which of course you can advise on, and Cass Smith and her team from Freedom Financial Solutions can help out with that. I think you guys have been partnering in that for a while now.
Yeah, I think on that too, Carl, if I can just jump in, is that the partnering with Cass is brilliant, because we've been doing it now for a matter of weeks, months actually, and the feedback we're getting is fantastic, because not only are we introducing people to that first toe in the water, as you said, to bullion, but then to also understand that they can use their super money and get their money out of the big established super funds into their own self-managed super fund, and have an element of gold and silver in that super investment is fantastic. So yeah, we've done a few, we've got more coming up. I would just call out that if anyone is interested, give us a call here in the office, get in contact with us, because we are continuing these. We'll probably pull up soon, because it's just getting to that Christmas time of the year. Yeah. We'll absolutely continue them next year, and happy to travel anywhere, as long as we've got, you know, at least about 30 or 40 people minimum. Yep. Happy to travel anywhere.
And I'd be happy to come along with you and wave the flag from a few of these shows as well, mate. See if we can't help. I'm a great proponent for helping you show the shiny things. I just think it's great. I love looking at people's faces when they see a coin.
And I don't mind getting out of the city every now and then as well. Get back to the roots.
Yeah, decent stuff. So, speaking of that, you'll be relocating toward the end of the year?
Yeah, so at some stage, so we've taken over obviously the CEO role and obviously looking after both. So we'll be spread across both businesses. So I'll still be seen in Melbourne and still be seen more so in Brisbane than I have been for the last few years. So yeah, looking forward to it. It's a challenge that I'm up for. So
Brilliant.
bring it
Brilliant.
on.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having us in. 357 Collins Street.
And there you have it, 357 Collins Street. And the Creek Street address is there too, level 6, number 12. You can pop in and see Paul and Steph there. They do a brilliant job. Lovely people, just really, really family business, if you know what I mean. It's I'm feeling quite honoured to be in there and allowed to talk to them at this sort of level and get this sort of access. It's great. No, they don't let me walk out with any gold or silver, but at least any that hasn't been paid for. I picked up a couple of coins for some people yesterday or the other day, so that turned out okay. Now I've started a few comments in here that I said I would get back to, and something came up after I threw a troll out. North put in a post that said this: $20,000 and I'll tell you everything I know about Bosie and Guru working with ASIO to frame you, me, Beck, Brad, Matt Lawson, Topher, all here for political advantage. So I said, absolutely, I would love $20,000 and I'll listen to the story. Or better still, keep the 20K and tell the story as you see fit. So he decided that he would do that, or she. There we go. This is what they had to say. Bosie had a meeting with ASIO, and it was driven after one of Guru's earlier meetings to avoid prosecution. They flipped and are providing info. Well, they won't be providing much on me. Neither of them speak to me a great deal. One of them doesn't speak to me at all. I don't speak to them. What are they going to tell you? They're going to tell you as much as you know about me. Everything else will be made up, because I'm a very hard little group to infiltrate, because I'm a group of one. Sure, there are people who come close to me and are close to me, and there are those that I trust within the group. But I don't have huge, great support teams around me. I don't have anything like that. So good luck. I mean, I'm happy to call in and see ASIO if they want to ask me a few questions. You know, I've got nothing to hide. No problem. No problem with anything they might have to say. I've seen this afternoon, Darren Bergworth sent me a video that he'd been sent today. It's a post of Ricardo going off about all the groups that are trying to band together to try and show some unity, some direction, and he's trying very hard to force that apart. It's interesting that you mention a political solution there, because the only benefit that I can possibly see to what he's trying to do with his little speech out of his own mouth, and I will go through that properly at some stage over the next 24 or 48 hours, might even be over the weekend. I've got a few kilometres I have to travel in the next few days, so editing time will be a bit of an issue. But I plan on getting into that and cutting certain sections out, and we'll go through it. I'm quite surprised that he's come out as vehemently as he has. I know that within the A1 movement, he's made some dictatorial decisions, and that's the only way that they've been described to me. Nobody else is. The people who have spoken to me about this have been adamant in the way they are describing the edicts that are being handed down from on high in the A1 executive, from the A1 executive, and the rules that are being placed upon them. And to hell with you if you want to go against one of his rules. This is a very different message to the one he started telling, isn't it? I could be wrong, but I thought this is the man who didn't want a political solution, who knew there wasn't a political solution, and yet here we are fighting for a political party, in inverted commas. I don't even know that the party has been registered yet. That's always been a bit of a mind fuck, for the want of a better term. You can call yourself anything you like, but are you a registered political party? Well, I don't think A1 has ever been registered as a political party, and maybe it is now, I don't know. But I'm not sure that was ever the intention, to register as a political party. I'm reasonably sure the intention was to have a group of independents run under a banner that banner being A1, which stood for a group of policies that those people who were supporting it ran for or ran under. Now it seems clearer to many people that it's not that at all. And A1 is hemorrhaging memberships. If the people that are contacting me, both through email, phone, and personally, are anything to go by, and that in part comes from the actions of its leader, saying and doing some what most people would consider pretty weird things. He's getting very agitated, very, very, very agitated, carrying on, lots of swearing again, and that makes me ask questions. It should make you ask questions. What pressure is he under to be behaving like that? Because a group of people want to get the freedom movement to stop fighting itself. Sounds to me like he wants to try and split that around. I might see if I can't get Beck from Truth Seekers on for a bit of a chat, maybe tomorrow. I might see if I can't get Darren on for a talk about it as well, because I'm starting to worry about him. I'm starting to worry about his health, his mental health. Is he okay? I have no doubt that he has been under a great deal of pressure for the last, 5, 6 more years, but particularly in the last 3. I know recently they've had to suffer a move. The house that they were in, I think, got sold, and they had to find another one. We know what kind of a stressful situation that can be. Obviously, they've found somewhere with a roof over their head because they've managed to, put the cupboard somewhere that's behind him. So they've gone through a lot, the family. And I'm just wondering, is he okay? I genuinely am wondering, is he okay? Because some of the things that he said in the video that I've seen this afternoon, and I only saw it part of it very briefly. I was in another meeting, and there was a bit of a break in that meeting, and I got to watch a few minutes of it, and I'm pretty shocked. Look, if Bozy and Guru are talking to ASIO, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm not hiding anything. So, if no, I'm not going to say that. That would give them an advantage, because it would telegraph a punch. So we don't want to do that. I'm shocked at what's come out. If you haven't seen that video, don't worry. I'll post it in its entirety if you want, but I'll also cut it up, because I think just on the couple of minutes that I saw, there are a few things to address in there that I found very, 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 very weird. Como John went off his head last night, apparently, thanks Sunflower. Interestingly, I've been sending text messages to Como John about something else, which we can talk about. He's still not talking, still not returning calls, still not making an excuse, just disappeared off the radar, like a spine would. So yeah, that in itself is a little interesting, don't you think? So theatre. And I would urge everybody to go back and have a look at some of their old videos, both Ricardo's and John's and mine, if you really need to. But go back and have a look at some of these things. John particularly tells you exactly who he is. Whether people hear that is a different matter. So right from the word go, I've always taken John at his word. And when he tells me who he is, I believe him. I've always believed him. But many people mistake what he says. Don't mistake what he says. Go back and listen to what he says. That would be my tip for tonight's little escapade, if you're into it. But it's interesting to see that door with me closed and the door with Bozy opened wide again. That is for a reason. Bozy stopped talking to me, started talking to Guru, because he didn't have any other platforms to talk on. It was that simple. So the only one that was available to him was Guru's. John found himself in a similar bucket. I said, well, I'm happy to have you on, and let's have a bit of a chat. And I'm very happy to be part of John's circle, if you like, his light. I love him to bits. He's just a cheeky old pirate, but he is what he is, and he tells you what he is. So as long as you understand what he is, and you don't expect more than that, you'll never be let down. So I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned about John. You may have seen a few of his posts, well, a matter of probably 5, 6, 8 weeks ago now, where he was calling out. And in fact, he started it it'll be the last time he appeared on my program, right? He started that night calling out for other people in the movement to use him as a weapon in this fight. Now, in hindsight, what does that look like? Well, it looks like a few different things if you've got a suspicious mind like I do. But he started calling out then, and did so quite frequently anywhere that gave him a platform. I am the voice. I am the weapon that people need. Come and use me. Okay, and who reached out to use him? Well, the same bloke he's been talking to right from the outset. The fact that he didn't go on and speak to Bosie every week or go on to Bosie's own little shows or anything like that didn't mean they weren't communicating. They were, certainly. So I don't know. Are we watching a bit of theatre there? I've always said, wait long enough, watch closely, everything gets exposed. Like the numpties in there who are telling me I'm scamming you with somehow, somewhere, shape or form. Well, if you can find how I'm scamming you, please bring it on, because I'm not selling anything. I'm telling you about gold and silver, and gold and silver is the oldest form of currency in the world. I'm telling you an option, showing you an option, not telling you anything. I'm showing you an option. So there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't get a cut out of anything that you buy, right? I don't get some secret commission out of this. Okay. Just so everybody knows, there's no secret commission. I don't get a slice of every coin that somebody buys or anything like that. Nothing of the sort. So, in fact, I was talking to Michael today, not realizing just how deeply they are into the crypto market, and he suggested setting up a crypto point for us through Ainslie, because they run a whole crypto system. So I've got to have a talk with Cass, but we're going to try and help me learn that part of it. That'll be fun. So if you're into crypto, we're going to have a whole new family, I dare say, trying to figure out how that works and see how crypto works. Anyway, back onto Bosie and Guru. Look, frankly, I don't know what either of them could have done that would get them in enough trouble for ASIO to have something over their heads. Nothing publicly that we've done, right? Nothing publicly. Ricardo is very careful in what and how he says things, and Dave just stays away from the topics that'll get him locked up. The bits that he doesn't understand deeply enough, or the words that you need to use to describe certain things. If you don't say or do things correctly, then yes, you can get in a lot of trouble. And I'm sure that Dave doesn't want to wind up in any more trouble than I do. So look, they had a meeting with ASIO. Well, show me that meeting. Show me that meeting. Because if I ring Guru now, pick up the phone and say, hey, listen, did you flip? He's going to say no. And I'll say, well, go and ring Bosie and ask him if he's flipped, because that's what's happening. Look, they're going to come out and deny it, 100%. So it's all well and good to jump in a chat room and say one thing. But North, I appreciate it, but I would be very keen to see those CCTV footage. Yeah, if they're having coffee, odds are it's not in an open place. They're not going to be meeting out in the public, and I doubt Bosie's going to Canberra and walking up the steps of the ASIO building. So, yeah, I don't know. In fact, I don't even know where Bosie is. Last I heard, he was looking for a place in Queensland. So for all I know, he could be up there. Although Dave, I think, is still in Wollongong. I imagine if Bosie moved to Queensland, the umbilical cord probably wouldn't stretch that far, so he'd need to get the boat out of the dock and sail her up the east coast and try and get somewhere close. But I know I would. If I had the boat, be a beautiful sail, and heading up into a Queensland summer, very nice indeed. Anyway, yeah, Bosie has always been having a dig at my place. That does annoy me because, well, obviously I'm a bit involved. I'm not. And we've had Alana in the chat for the last couple of nights saying, Carl, help me. All I can do is point you in the right direction, okay? I can't make people that I don't know in areas I've never been to contact you. And particularly at this early juncture, some of those groups are just beginning. So their admins are trying to find their feet. They're just starting to get together. And Alana was trying to join the Berwick group from memory. And I can tell you, Vince, myself, Darren Bergwerf, and one other person are the only people in the Berwick group at this point. So I wouldn't expect too much life out of that at the moment. Not sure if the other person isn't the admin or just another My Place admin. So some of them aren't actively running yet. So we apologise if that is the case. And certainly the admins should be answering any emails that are being sent through in there, Alana. So hopefully they'll be in touch and you get an invite to go and have a look around one of the My Places that are near you. Yes, I agree, North. Yes, I agree. That's all I'll say about that. I agree. You'd be amazed how many caravans I see on the road. And the cars pulling them. Just leave it at that. Should also point out that I can see out the back of the bus at all times. So while people are driving along behind me, I can actually see you in your front seats if I'm looking in the mirror or looking in the screen. So no, I don't actively do it, but I have caught a few really interesting things, and I don't mean dirty things, funny things like that. People taking pictures of the back of my trailer because it blocks out the back of the bus for the most part. I'm not at all surprised to see people taking pictures down the side when they pass me or things like that, but yeah, behind me is a little bit weird. And then I'm pretty random with where I go. I'm very random, and I don't usually tell people until maybe the day before that I'm going there, and that's only if I'm going to meet people. So to see similar vehicles turning up in similar places at similar times is interesting. But I have a lot of cameras on this vehicle. A lot of cameras. Some of them are watching the road. Some of them are watching everything around the vehicle. So I can at times have a really interesting time reviewing what's been recorded. And yes, I would say that there are people who take more than an active interest in the vehicle. I don't know. I'm friendly. I pop out and have a bit of a chat. So we'll see what happens. But I'm not doing anything wrong. So, and Bosie hasn't spoken to me in a year, just about. So I think this is about the time where we ended the tour last year. So I think the last time I spoke to him was just before Christmas last year. And that was the first time I'd spoken to him since the tour ended. And we had not much to say there. He tried to offer some. I'll leave it for the time being. I did say I was never going to tell this story, so I'm sorry to do that to you. Not my position to go talking about that in public. It is what it is. It is how it went. I found it a very useful and educational experience. I got to see a lot of things. And that was probably part of why I wasn't allowed to see much more. Maybe I should just leave it at that. Guru would have a lot of sway with it. Well, yeah. If Guru, well, okay, North, hang on. Let me just put that up so people know what I'm referring to here. Okay, so if they had Guru over the barrel for something, and I can't imagine what, even though they did take him in on the supposed terrorist charges there at one stage, if they were to take him in on something, and if that were to be an influenceable thing over Bosie, what kind of leader is he if he would be influenced by that? That would be my concern. If he could be flipped, as you so eloquently put it in the chat, then that would be a concern, because he's sold himself to me and you and many others as a man of principles, a man of morality, a man of strength and honor. So I can't, it flies in the face, doesn't it, of everything that he said. And he said a lot since he started publicly talking. And if we go back and look at how he started this and what he was saying, the unifying messages that he was bringing, and now look at what he's trying to do to those people singing a similar unified song. I mean, he's talking about tri-axis of bloody something or other and climbing up a hill from a different hill, and we're all climbing the same hill but from different directions. And now that's not good enough. We should always be, separate rather than trying to storm the fucking hill and just take it. I don't know much about military tactics, but who knows? Anyway, political solution. Is there a political solution? I don't think the current system is a political solution. No. Do I have a better system to put in place? No. But we should be talking about it. We should be trying to figure one out, because we can't go on being raped by these pigs in the fucking palace in Canberra anymore. Albanese off on another trip. Personally, I think it's just to change the battery in the ankle monitor, but, who knows? Our politicians at every level, state, federal, and local, are failing us in every regard, are taxing us, finding new ways to fine us, to control us, and new ways to enforce those measures. It can't go on. But we need to figure out how it can change without there being a bloody uprising, because that is completely unacceptable. Now, the only way that we can come up with a way to have a completely bloodless uprising of the people, an awakening of the people, is if these freedom groups unite and talk about it and all start pushing the same message. Not different messages, different constitutions. I'm a king, you're a king, everybody can be a king. No, you can't, just me, no, just him. I don't know, I don't care. What we need to do is figure out the best way forward for us all. And the only way all of us can do that is by being involved in the conversation, being involved in the war. Okay? Because that's all it is. It's war of words for us. But they're important words. Powerful words. And you need to have yours heard. So I'm going to go and have a bit of a look at the rest of this Bosie thing and see what's come up from there. Tomorrow, I'm leaving where I'm at and hitting the road, Jack. Hopefully tomorrow night, I will be in a position to do a show. I'm pretty sure I will be. Just depends if we have an issue on the road or not, I guess. But even then, provided there is somewhere I can put a satellite dish up, we will have a show. I will endeavour to get Darren on so we can have a bit of a talk about what this Bosie clip is all about. And he has been attacking my place for some time. And I, to be honest, I do not understand why. It's infiltrated. Listen, one of the pieces that I saw in this video was, oh, they want me to get on stage and talk. And listen, he says he won't get on stage, you know, and share a stage with a pedophile, or he won't get on stage and share a stage with, you know, any other insult. Part of that reasoning, I'm thinking, that he doesn't want to get on the stage and share that is because you've got to call that person a pedophile straight to their eye. If you're going to say you're a pedophile, mate, in public, then be a man about it and stand up and say that. If that's, have the courage of your convictions. So you might find you'll gain a lot of support. And if it's true, obviously we lose ourselves a pedophile. If it's not true, you're going to be in for a very big defamation case. So it's very easy to sling words around, like you're a Freemason, and you're a, well, whatever. But it's much harder to prove it. And so far, the judgment on being able to prove it is, oh, nobody's taken me to court yet. Well, is that because the places where they're saying these things are being selected? You don't want to come into a, you know, a truther movement, a freedom movement meeting with supposedly the movers and shakers, the constitutional brains of it all. You don't want to have to come in there and call someone a pedophile and not offer up proof of it, or a Freemason. Now, I'm with him. There is no room for Freemasons and there's no room for pedophiles. I'm 100% behind Bosie, 100% behind him, right? There is no room for any of it. But if you are going to allude, because that's all he's done in this latest message, he's alluded that there are pedophiles and other scum on that stage. So who's he referring to? Who does he mean exactly? Or is he just doing a mainstream media version and just giving you a big pasting of, oh, well, anybody on that stage could be the pedophile or the Freemason or the whatever else. And he's quite right, they could be. But you want the proof. You want to be able to call them out in public and see how they react. And he doesn't want to do that, by the sound of it. But I would encourage him to name those people that he doesn't want to stand beside on a stage. The pedophiles and the Freemasons particularly. I would urge him to name them, because this meeting will happen one way or the other. He will be invited. Whether he chooses to attend or not is entirely up to him. I would say it would be a tragic error on his behalf not to, but wouldn't be the first tragic error that has been made. So it's going to happen one way or the other. We don't need a Bosie blessing to make it happen. And there is enough people in the movement with genuine hearts that want to see solutions for all of us, all of Australia. All right? Bickering amongst ourselves is only going to let another 500,000 migrants in next year. And they're going to take the places you're currently living in because they'll pay more for it. And you know the bastards that own your house, they'll take more for it every week. Thank you very much. Unless you're prepared to pay it, you'll find yourself on your ass. It can't go on. It cannot go on. Unfortunately, the dickheads on the road aren't cleaning up enough of the other dickheads.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's rock!